Stop broad. That means we're on. Stop broadcasting means we're broadcasting. That's the button I have to push to shut it off. All right, Shawnee, Midwest City, or anybody else that happens to be watching, profit share is the subject. We are at the focus group on Thursday, the 26th day of April. And so just listen in. I'll notice every now and then if you twitch or move. As long as I don't see anybody twitching or moving, I'm not going to pay much attention to the camera. A couple of things. I just touched base. On Tuesday, I believe it was, Christy and Leslie and Cammy had a little. They had a profit share meeting, and as I can understand it, we had a couple of people that popped in, so they were kind of glad because they weren't quite ready. But what I got, I didn't get to come. I was on my anniversary excursion.
Yes.
Yes, I was.
Did you guys go somewhere fun?
No, yeah. Down at the Arts Festival, that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I got to shake the mayor's hand. He served me water. And I said,
That's
no, I don't want a beer.
We should have focus at the Arts Festival.
Pardon me?
We should have focus at the Arts Festival.
Well, you know what? This would have been a nice day to have focus group down. They got plenty of chairs. We could sit around and have a great meeting. Anyway, they brought the profit share thing with them. And so I was talking to Cammy after the thing, and she said, well, here, this was sent to me by some of her sponsors in Texas. And they're McKissick's, I believe it is, she's involved in that line of sponsorship. And they sent her this and said, here, this is some material that we use when we're dealing with that. I'm thinking of Leslie Schweitzer because she said, Don, I need more detailed information about how that works. How's the profit share piece work? And then she's on the committee that created that had this. I said, well, what else do you need to know? That's about as clear as it gets. So you'll notice here, I don't have a picture of it, but at the bottom of the page, we got Mary. See, Mary, you're right there at the bottom of the page.
She's at 50%.
50%. So here's how it would work. And this evening it's relevant because you guys are bringing, some of you are bringing people to this career dinner or whatever we call it. And if those folks get licensed and come to work and become somebody that's under your profit treaty, that would be like a Mary. So if Mary came and we hired her and she sold real estate and the company made a profit, that's why I made a big deal out of the vital signs at the last team meeting. I'm still carrying it around. Profit share 2017, 32,970, 2018, 39,181. Now, the big reason was the operating expenses were cut by nearly $30,000 in a month.
Yeah.
Now, that tells me we were a little liberal with all of our money a year ago. Somebody was being a little bit casual with our money. That's my money. If you're wasting $30,000 a month, I have a share in that. A year ago, actually my profit share a year ago, March, was equal to what I got this year. But anyway, I'm proud of that. But that is significant. We did it with 10 fewer cappers than we had a year ago. That's what's exciting to me. The people pulling on the rope are producing more or more in terms of profit share with 10 fewer cappers than we had 12 months ago pulling on the rope.
But somebody shut down a bunch of expenses also.
That's most of it. That's exactly right, Mary.
You can say
That's
a bunch of
expenses. Here, we didn't sell more. We sold about, we actually, our numbers were down 1%.
But to have less cappers and have more money.
What are we here for?
Yeah.
We're not here to see how many cappers we have, to see how much, if we can make profit. That's the point of having the company in the first place. So that's why when Casey was in the room, they just turned me loose for the whole meeting by myself, for God's sake. What the risk they took was for that. But sure enough, I mean, I just wanted to bring this stuff to the table. I had about 35 people in the room. But at the end of the day, if we're going to get 10 more cappers out of this year, we'll be up to 50. I promise you before the end of this year's out with the folks we brought in and folks that are growing to that level and beyond. And then we're going to be doing something. So that's why this is important here. Because once you get somebody in the room where there's 40, 50,000 a month in profit to share, people are getting checks for $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 a month until their people all cap. Now, I can relate to Casey. When everybody starts capping, he says, thank you for telling me you're setting records, but I'm not getting anything on it. And so, I mean, Sandy caps right off the bat over there for me, and Susanna caps, and when all they start capping, Ginger cap. Okay, I'm glad to hear you're closing a lot, but there's no profit sharing going on there, even though the company's making some money. So, anyway, that first level, and that's what Mo Anderson tells us, and others. They say, as she says, get 15 as soon as you can on your first level. That means they're just right under you. Because that will produce you a reasonably notable profit share month. I've got 9 right now myself, just under me. And then Susanna's got some. She's under me, but then she's got some under her. And so Leslie's under her. And Leslie's going to take off and be a capper not too long from now. So you never know. She's a part-time person when she first walks into the room, and I know her from her husband. They do our taxes. That's how I know. But she just basically, through that relationships, and you guys have helped us with some transactions before. We think you're competent. You must think this is a good choice for a company, or you wouldn't be there. Tell me about it. And that's where the conversation started. And the rest is history. She's about to close, probably $1.5 million in the next 90 days. And she's already closed something. She hadn't been here. Well, she went part-time, full-time April 1st. So, but under Susanna gets 50% of whatever the profit amount she creates is. That's shared. They got a calculation. But then I get 10% because she's under Susanna. So Susanna's split is 50% of that, but then I get a 10% piece of it. And then it goes all the way 7 levels. So depending on where you are, but when you start getting back to, 1, 2, 3, 4, about the 5th level, then it starts increasing back up again a little bit as far as the percentage. You guys can read this as easy as I can. But down here in the middle of this, it just basically gives a scenario. But it says Mary earns 50%. $300 of the $600 because she is the one who Joan named her as her sponsor. So it gives you a number there. Then it talks about John and so on. So you can kind of see what the dollar amounts are. And some of them are just very little. It's like $30, $45, $60, $75. But one of them is $300. The 50% gets $300. The next person gets $30, the next $30, the next $45, the next $60, the next $75 in that tree. And there is a tree on all of us. No matter when you came in, there's a hierarchy up to 7 levels, and somebody's getting transactions, something out of that every time you have some business that closes that's connected to profit. And the other part of it is just real quickly, the owners, Casey's getting 52%. That's generally what the calculation is. Very close to that, plus or minus fractions. But 52% of what the total profit figure is. So when you look at that next page, I think it's on this next piece here. Because I'd like you guys to understand this enough to get a little bit excited about maybe being involved in it. Because we have a Vicki, Vicki Davis, responsible for recruiting, heavy responsibility, high accountability for her time in that world. Talked to her yesterday at 5 o'clock, said I've done nothing but put fires out all day. I said, that means then you haven't recruited anybody. That's the only people that's going to be, yeah, I know. But she's fighting for some people's commissions. She's doing stuff that people need help with, and and so on. But at the end of the day, I know Monday morning's coming, and they're going to ask her, Vicki, how many recruits you have? Well, she can't firefight and recruit all at the same time. She's got to do one or the other, and so, but we can help her so much. Tonight, that career thing there'll be 15 people at least in here that are interested in a real estate career. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not going to be there to persuade them to come to Keller Williams. I'm just going to persuade them to get into real estate. And then from there, we'll work on whether you ought to come to Keller Williams or not. But here's what it's gonna take to get you into real estate. And here's the reality, the truth, the actual expenses, not gonna flower, sugarcoat this. This is what it is. And that's the meeting. But out of that 15 people, if that's how many come, we're gonna have 6, 7, 8 of them. Eventually, make that decision.
From the last one, do you have any idea how?
Yeah, we've got 2 that have signed up since then, and 1 that is saying he's coming our way. He's gotta get his money lined up. He's got enough to get into real estate, but not enough to stay in it.
But when you do this, you don't actually compare Keller Williams to the others?
Well,
You strictly kinda.
I know, what I kind of do toward the end, I just pull up the market share number and say, by the way, these are the top companies in Oklahoma City and in the order of production. And so if you're talking to any of these, you're talking to folks that are at least making some kind of an impact as market share in the marketplace. They're all unique, they're all different, there's good companies, but you'll notice who is the most productive on the page. I can't help it. I didn't come here to persuade you to come to Keller Williams, but I can't help myself. If I'm going to show you the top 10 companies in town, I can't help myself. It's going to look pretty good. Maybe it's at least we ought to be one of your interviews. That's where I'm going with it. At least we ought to be one of your interviews because we are the primary, most market share in the marketplace. There must be something. My point there usually is there are 171,000 Keller Williams agents across the country. And if this is a poor choice, there are 171,000 stupid people out there. And that's what it would mean if you were to say, well, gosh, that's not a very good choice for me, not a very good company. What you're really saying is 171,000, the largest number of any company in the country. They only hire stupid people that are too ignorant to know that. So that's what I'm saying. So at least look into it. We may not be a match, but at least look into us as one of your interviews. If you're going to look at it, you talk a little bit about the different business models. But I point this out just real quickly. It says profit share and owner profit. And those 2 columns in the middle there, just right in the middle of that little section. At the end of the day, they got a formula for how much who gets where and where it goes. But at the end of the day, there's a total of $64,000 in profit. And, they base that on GCI up here at the top. So the bottom line is $64,001.25 in profit. And the owner's going to get $33,985 of that. I haven't done the math, but that is 52%, I'm sure, of that 60,000. And then the rest that shared is 30,100. That's what the agents share. That's our $39,000 figure that gets shared. So this is the best I've seen that explains a little bit how they arrive at this, how much do you share. It's a formula, and it's the same formula, and roughly the owner's going to get 52. But Casey, unlike other brokers in town, is running his operation and making a profit off of 52% of the profit, where the other guys are keeping it all and not sharing. And so, but for some of us, for Christy this month, $1,900. For me, my meeting, not just $1,100 something, just for me in March. And Susanna had several $100. It's real money. And it just lands there in your doggone bank account, and it's the most exciting money I make. Because I almost feel like I didn't do anything to get it. But I promise you I did. Because some of those guys that are actually closing houses, I spent a lot of time on helping them get them closed. So anyway, then they've got I'm going to go over it, just little handling objections, which is what we've been doing. That's why it got my attention. We talked about the let's pretend they got a big house, a little house to sell and a big one to buy. We talked about that last week. We talked about I got a friend in real estate. How do I deal with that? This is basically, I'm happy with where I am and how you might respond to that. I just can't imagine the hassle of changing companies and some dialogue there. I'm too busy right now. Your office is too big. I'll just be another number. Anyway, that's a group of some of the, in fact, it looks like I missed a page somewhere.
It is a hassle to change companies, and I don't know why people go back and forth. I'm never going anywhere.
Well, it is.
I did that. No, I'm not doing it again. And it's expensive.
Well, it can add up. Now, this is basically saying we understand it is a hassle, but we're referring to our team leader who has a a transition plan. I personally don't know what that is, except they must have something that says, oh, we'll make this smooth and easy. And maybe it is, where we supply some cards or enough signs or something to get people to do. Anyway, it looks to me like I left a page off of this, or the back side of one of these. Yep, it didn't run the rest of that. I missed the back side of one of these, and it's supposed to run two sides. Both I got two sides on the rest of it, on the right, and on this. Anyway, I need to provide this one to you guys. Yeah, because, can you get in this one right here? Y'all have to. But it's just two-sided. I just would like you guys to have the option of wanting. Yeah, let's do the handoff.
Exchange of duties.
It's called a smooth transition right there. There it is. Anyway, I'd like for us to just kind of know how to respond to the things that people are, but mainly they're just driving people to a team leader. And just saying, listen, would you talk to my team leader? We don't need to know much more than that, except would you talk to my team leader? So, all right, I wanted to touch on that because that falls on the heading of common objections. I've got Joanna in the room this week. She hadn't seen our common objections. I brought just a version of this. You guys all had a copy of this, right?
Yeah.
Got the list of all the common objections on it. Now, these are not all the common objections. These are just the ones I can think of. I think I gave everybody one. I don't want to. We'll run. Okay. I'll run it before we leave. It's just people are going out. I just put 16490 in there.
I'm sorry?
16490. And then get it. Why mess with it later? Let's just do it. Now everybody's got the code. I trust you people. I know that in about 2 minutes. Yeah, 47324. Now I've got you screwed up. You can't hear me. Okay.
No more charges, guys.
Anyway, I just created this list of what we deal with on a regular basis because I thought we need to be pre-planned. It's called scripts. I hate the word scripts. I hate using them. You know why? I don't mind the script. I just hate the sound of it. I hate somebody reading me something. I just like for them to talk to me.
I think you just know what to say.
And it is. I say the same stuff over and over and over, and it is a script, but it's really just my conversation about the subject. So when these things come up, I'd love us just to be prepared a little ahead of time. So we talked about a one-way because 3 weeks ago. We got that one. I don't know if I'm here. I'll give it to Joanne. I got one left. You guys don't have one. Joanne, there's some drawbacks to waiting. When we hear the words, I want to wait because I suddenly go with these 9 or 10 things in my mind and say, oh my goodness, the interest rates could go up, and the price could go up on the one I'm buying when they do. The one I'm selling could go down. They could get lost in the shuffle. Get back with me on that one. But those things you could have to do maintenance on something you're getting ready to get rid of, and you're going to have to pay for a new heating air unit rather than the guy that bought it from you. If you'd have just bought it from 30 days or 90 days ago, that stuff all comes to my mind. And then we have a frame in real estate where we looked at these basically and said, would they be comfortable with you knowing all about the personal and financial business?
He'll never let me do that again.
How many days?
More than you'll ever need.
50 copies, huh?
Well, I didn't hear it so quiet.
Oh, that's okay.
So I kept shooting.
Listen.
She's like, stop.
Yeah.
They just keep shooting.
The wall is real. Sorry, guys.
Sorry. These, I will give out all year long. So I don't care how many you run. I don't want to run all in 1 month because I knew talking about profit share, for God's sake. You got to be able to afford it. So anyway, friend of real estate. We talked about that. I know Joanne did, but I just listed, are they comfortable with doing business with you? Do you like them and you trust them? Well, that ought to be a yes. But they will tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. They're okay with telling me disappointing news. Those are realities. When we deal with our friends, I'll give you a picture. Random, somebody can comment. But that's what's going on. We're asking people on day one, call your friends, talk to your friends. And then I'm coming in here and saying, here's the reasons why they probably shouldn't use you. But here's what you're going to hear an hour later. Oh, I have a friend in real estate. So what level of relationship is that? And we're going to hear it. It's going to come up. It's on my list. So what are we going to do when they say that? Say, oh gosh, okay. No, that's not a script. Oh gosh, okay, it's not on here. It's basically, okay, well, I can appreciate that. In fact, I'm contacting my friends on a regular basis just to, get referrals and so on, have them trust me with their reputations. But I do understand when I take those on, and I just converted, when I take my close friends on, I'm going to know everything about their finances. I'm going to know everything about their personal business. I know that when I've had occasions or two where the appraisal came in low, how hard a call that was for me to make and tell them the appraisal came in low. There's a title problem. Your house is only worth. Those are hard sentences to state to your close friend. So how will your close friend be able to handle that? Are you comfortable that they'll be okay? Because two of my questions, I just made this up. This is all completely just me. I'm okay with risking the friendships, one of them. So I'm saying to you, Mr. Seller, are you okay with risking the friendship? Yeah, we're not that close anyway. But here's the other question. I'm fine with risking it, but are they okay with risking it? Because you get into these transactions where there are issues and problems, you got to navigate through them. It's a fair question. So we need to know these dynamics play out when we're dealing with our friends. And so that's why I just created this. I thought, if yes or no to those questions. Whether I ever pull this out, I'd like to know that about them if there is a friend. I've got a friend in real estate. Okay, well, tell me a little about that. Because I value somebody that will use their friend, trust them.
Don't do it.
But I did put one in there that's a guaranteed yes. I know them, like them, and trust them already. That ought to be a yes if it's a friend every time. But I'm not sure that we can get a yes on many others of those. Here's what I tell them. If I have to have a no on any of one, I have one no. And I'll be to step back a moment and reconsider it and think about it a little bit more. Because at the end of the day, you do need somebody that can be honest with you, that can know your financial stuff and keep it confidential, and it doesn't matter to them. And ultimately, they can tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that's who I am. So ask yourself if that's who they are, and then make a good decision. I'm just happy to sit back and let you make a good decision. But anyway, when we say I have a friend in real estate, that comes up. It's coming up all the time. And then this other one, we did this last week. I can't go over it again. I erased all my little smiley faces, but that was the one where we talked about, I got a house to sell, but I want to buy one first. So that's the story behind that. Another one, I'm not going to go over and bore you with that again. Although I have two of you here, it would be boring for. It was fascinating as y'all knew this morning. But there is the negotiating position is completely compromised when, that's right. Don't think you have to, Jennifer. That one confuses people. Is there anybody else in the room who'd like to review this one?
Yeah.
No, over here. I got a yes over here. Maybe.
Well, I don't know, I can't say I've seen
The
this.
sales price, we don't want to see in the sales.
Yeah,
price.
we went over that last week. But this one confuses people more than most of them. Most of the rest of them make sense. But this one confuses people, and it bears reviewing a little bit. I don't think I need to go into the deep. Come on.
I just want to know why one house is cute and tiny and the other one's big and red.
All right, let me tell you why. The cute, tiny one's the one they got. The one that's big and red's the one they want. Now we got there. Now my slogan matters, getting you from where you are to where you want to be. That's what I do.
And your response.
The rest of it I get, that was a part of it.
I don't know if I can find that crazy, it's a PowerPoint page and it's in here somewhere. When this thing is all messed up, I can't find it. It's a file folder that says common concerns. Oh, where is it?
It's like finding Waldo.
It's on the top row.
Top row,
Oh, yeah.
Go to the right.
right there. Oh, I can almost, if I just tell people what I'm looking for, invariably, out of 10, one of them can find it. Let's see, I want to buy before I sell. Let me put it up there. It's a PowerPoint page. This thing is moving ever so slow. There it is. Let's review it.
Okay.
Oh, come on. No? There you go. Well, I don't know what. Why this one? So here's the deal. They have this house now. They're telling me I want to buy this one, and then I'll come back and worry about selling that one. I have to sell it to buy, but I'm out looking at open houses. I'm driving around. Here they come. Oh my God, I love this house. And that's what I was doing. I was writing in the little windows up there. Usually I handwrite this out, but in the little windows, I'm putting little smiley faces in there. Oh God, the kids have picked out their rooms. They picked that one out. She likes this one. Wife's down here. She's working in the laundry room, but she looks happy. No. See, so I know it's a fiction. I said let's pretend. Let's pretend. But this is the point is, if we hook this up backwards, we're compromising our negotiating position. So that's the point. If you buy the one first and then come back and put yours on the market and sell it, you could lay thousands of dollars on the table because you're hooked up backwards from what is best from your negotiating position, as opposed to if we just go sell, let's just go sell this one, put it on the market, get a contract on it, and then let's go buy that one from that position. And I know what you're saying. Well, yeah, but if I slice it, it's got the long nails, it's going to sell in a matter of hours. Yeah, okay. You may be right. I'm prepared for that. You want to hear how? And they'll usually say, yeah, what do we do? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to control the timeline. Now, I don't mind. If you find something you fall in love with, and that's the only house on earth you want, we're going to write a contract on it. We're going to make it contingent on you getting your house sold. We're going to do it. But it leaves me in a vulnerable, and you in a vulnerable position of negotiating. Because we're coming from a weak position on both sides. So let's talk about that. That's what I do. Let's pretend you're buying this one, and it's $200,000, just a round number. What would you propose? What offer would you make on a $200,000 house, or would you just pay asking price?
I wouldn't do anything as my clients.
I hope you didn't smile instead of talking to someone over here. These guys got to be pants over here. No,
How bad do you want it?
let's pretend you're the buyer. I got to get more clear. Thank you, Joanna. Let's pretend you're the buyer, and this is a $200,000 property you're buying. And that was my question. If you're the buyer, are you going to pay? They're asking $200,000. Are you going to pay them $200,000? Is that where you're going to try to negotiate to right off? I know it. It's kind of funny.
Yes.
I agree. Wish you guys could understand baby language, because I understood he said exactly what baby said. What would you offer? What's the average list to sales price ratio, for God's sake? If you can't answer, what would you offer?
3%.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
$6,000.
There you go.
196. Or no,
194.
94.
Yeah. So if that's where I would go. Now they may give me a number. Well, I would.
So let me ask you something real quick.
Yes, let's
I had a buyer that I showed last night. He's like, it's been a while. Now, he's not contingent. He's like, so what do we do as far as what we offer?
Mhm.
And here was my answer. I said, well, I will pull comps, but the comps are where this price is. I said, usually I prepare buyers and they need closing costs paid, then they need to try to get, as long as the comps are there, they need to try to get up to full price
Mhm.
or close to.
That's good.
Okay,
That's good because they need closing costs.
And then if not, then we might be able to start a little bit lower.
But Mary, so Vicki, I mean, all of them resoundingly said, 97% or so is about, you know, at least, I mean, you maybe can get more, but that's about what it is. It is actually about 90. And I went out to Shawnee this morning, it's 95% out there. In that zip code in town. But here it's in metropolitan area, 97%. It's been the listed sales price ratio. So the typical person is, you know, on a $200,000 sale is getting 194. However, if they need help with closing costs, they're getting 3% or more in closing costs paid for them, but they're paying the asking price. It's still the same thing, or close to it. It's still within a 1% figure of the same net. So whether you pay the closing cost or you don't, the typical person out of 1,700 or 1,800, I've got the thing open to that, closed, got about 97.5 or 6% of what they were asking. So that's where I'm going with this. The typical person, now, they'll say to me, usually, I wish you guys would role play with me a little. $200,000, I said to you, would you give asking price? And I didn't have any of you have a frown on your face and say, are you kidding? What? No. Nobody wants to give asking price. How many people are saying, listen, I'm going to give asking price?
Unless they really want the house.
Oh, yeah. When they really want the house, they're begging me
I
to
asked
have
them,
closing
you want it
costs.
on a scale from 1 to 10. This will help us gauge where we need to be, and I'm gonna ask them, do they have other offers right now?
All right.
You know, but
So the probability is somebody's not going to give the asking price unless they need help with those closing costs. That's why they're asking for paying the asking price. Otherwise, they're going to come off.
And say, what kind of an offer do you want to make? And they're like, we want this house. We're gonna give full asking and no closing.
Yeah.
When you want
Do
the,
you know how many times that's happened in my life?
not very many.
So
Yeah,
that-
but it can't happen.
Wake up here.
It does happen.
And they have cash.
Yes. But that goes kind of back here to what Jennifer's saying. If you're doing your job in finding out what are your must-haves and what are your priorities, and this house I want, that's number one. In fact, that ought to be all of our first priority. Get the house, then get it at as good a deal as you can. Second highest priority is to get the good deal, but the good deal you don't get is not going to count. So there's where we need to go. So I like that. Now do that again, Jennifer, on a scale of 1 to 10. You get that?
well, I mean, I print out all the paperwork on every house we go look at.
Okay, so you've
One
got
for
the
the husband, one for the
disclosures,
wife.
got the
If there's
printouts.
two.
Be sure to get this code, so you have to print that on your.
It's right here. Exactly, what was that one?
Yeah, it's gone now. That's good enough. I get it.
But anyway, and I hand it to them, and I ask them to write without cheating, don't let the other one see
Mhm.
what your opinion is on a scale of 1 to 10. Your likes, your can't do without,
Okay,
on each one, and then we'll, discuss them later. And then at the end of the night, it's like, well, how bad do you want? We decided we want to put a bid.
yeah, so you're narrowing it.
How bad?
At the end of the day, when they compile their responses that they've
Yeah,
kept them
that's
somewhat
up-
to
that's up
themselves,
to
and
them.
it's an honor system thing. But at the end of the day, it is going to cause them to, they may have conversations between houses unless you're driving.
Well, no, yeah, and I wanted to, after they've already written down their own, without being influenced by the other one.
Then talk about it.
Then
Okay.
talk about it, and then let me know, kind of where you are on it. We want the house.
So it comes back
Do you want the
down
house
to,
for 7, 8, 9, 10?
Yeah.
How bad do you want this house? I said, because I just spoke to them, because I'll ask on the ones I feel that, they're leaning towards or whatever, do you have any other offers right now? And I'm like, okay, they've got someone else that says they're writing an offer. I don't know, how strong the offer is, I gotta get that part,
Yeah.
but they do have someone writing an offer, so
how bad do you want it?
how bad do you want it?
Very same. Where, we want it. So you might need to pay more than asking price.
Exactly.
You might in that scenario. But let me bring us back, because that's part of, just the overall discussion about how do we deal with the buyer that's making the decision, whether it's this or somebody else. But in this case, my point is this: if you buy this one and then go sell this one, you have left money on the table just virtually every time. And do you understand why? Is it making any sense yet?
You still having leverage.
There it is, Vicki. Because here, if you go first and buy this one, and I try to get them to say, well, without a contingency, in other words, forget you have a house to sell. What do you think of the sell for? Here's what normally happens. Well, the asking price is $200, probably going to end up at about $195. No contingency, I just want to buy the house, I got my house sold, or I don't need to sell a house, that guy. And that's when I say, okay, so we agree that you're probably, without a contingency, you're going to pay about $195. That's within the 3% range. That's a little better than 97%, but it is within the 97.7 or 5% range. So now let's pretend that we come back to the same seller and say, listen, I've got a contingency that I've got to sell my house. You're asking $200,000. I'm going to offer you $195,000. But it's contingent on me selling my house over here. Pretty nice, got a big tree.
No, the other one's not.
The roof's a little pretty, but it's, you know. Are you, as a seller, let's pretend you're the seller now. You're the seller. I've come now with my $195 contingent on my sale of this one. How excited are you about the $195 now? But maybe not quite as much. Lost a little enthusiasm here. How about here? Is that as exciting, a $195 with a house to sell versus $195 without it to sell?
Kind of like deflating the balloon. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's got the, yeah.
It's not a for sure.
Yeah. Now, here's the other thing. Let's just pretend we're that seller for a little bit. If we accept your $195,000 offer with a contingency to sell a house, they cannot sell it to somebody else for $196 that's got a house to sell, or $197, or $198, or $199. They are stuck with your $195. Now, they can sell it to somebody else that doesn't have a house to sell for more, but they cannot take any more offers from somebody that that's already got a house to sell. They don't have one of those. And so that's the problem. They're probably, if they work with you at all, here's the thing, you may find a seller says, I won't even take an offer for $210 with a contingency to sell a house. I don't have any control of that. And I've got my house tied up, and all the other guys that have a house to sell, and I can go look at my house because they have a house to sell. So my seller over here probably is going to come back at $200,000 because he can't take the gamble on somebody else not being willing to pay that. But here's the good news. He will take your contingency. And we'll fill out the paperwork, and we'll make it where it requires you to list the property within 48 hours, and so on. Put the kick-out clause into the mix, leave it active on the market. But you'll probably ask what the asking price. So you gave away $5,000 right there in that dynamic, just buying the house. Does that make sense? So I mean, $5,000 just in the purchase, because we came from the angle, I've got a house to sell, versus I didn't.
Your buying agent needs to step up and let them know what an advertising house this is, how quick it should go.
That's right. In fact, even if this comes up, they want me to write the contract, they don't have this on the market yet, I got to get this listed right now. And I got to be able to say, at least I've got it on the market. I've got 2 showings for tomorrow already. We just put it on the market yesterday. That's better than I don't have it on the market. I have no idea what the market's going to respond to it or if anybody's even going to be interested. So if he does come up with this, say, let's get yours on the market as quick as we can so I can say, we already have it on the market. Here's what we have. Here's the pictures. Here's the price. And he knows that, because without that, he can't make a very good decision as to what kind of risk is it. Because he can do a CMA himself, the realtor can, and say, well, I've done a CMA, it looks like it's priced pretty right. Versus, I've done a CMA, and there's no way that'll sell for that. And I had one. I mean, one we had was contingency that Suzanne brought up last week. It was over in Old Stonebridge. And that guy buying the house had a contingent on his house selling in Ramsey Oaks, and there was no way that house could bring that. And it didn't. But he sold and bought anyway. It came in $15,000 low on the appraisal, just exactly like we thought it would. But then that seller took it and went ahead and bought the one we sold. So I didn't, you don't know. There's a high probability he might not have taken a $15,000 loan. You had 5 or 6 who were fretting over it. $5,000 low appraisal fretting over it. Well, $15,000, try that one over. And then have your sale subject to that one closing and knowing it before you start. So anyway, but now see, I'm not done. We gave $5,000 away already over here. Now I'm coming back over here. And I'm putting that one on the market. And all the happy faces are still attached over here. I remind you, happy people want that house. They want their individual room, tired of sharing a bedroom and not having room for my toys. So now we put this one on the market. Let's say it's $100,000. And I come along and offer $90,000,
Closing costs.
one closing cost, need the warranty. And, but we've got, all we got to do is take the $90,000 and pay the closing cost and the warranty, and we could have this one over here.
Sign me up. Well, I mean, so, if I've got that, if I'm the listing realtor of the house with the tree, I'm going, you gotta move on, you've already done this, let's do this.
Yeah, the probability, now you may say, oh gosh, I'm not taking 90, but I'll take 95.
Right.
You're not going to take 100.
No.
You're not going to sit there and demand 100,000 because you have the emotional attachment to this. But you might counter and work it back and forth. Maybe you get 95 out of that one. All right, that's still $10,000 less than the asking price. Let's just pretend that we don't have this in the mix. That one's not there. We just put this one on the market. We looked a little bit and we know that what's out there would probably be more than adequate. We just, picked one. We don't know what your best one is because we don't know for sure when we're going to be, what window of time we're going to be buying in. But if I have this one now on the market for $100,000, I don't have that one in place. I don't have any timeline or urgency to buy, to close. And somebody comes in at 95. And I don't know where I'm going. What's the probability of me taking 95,000 in that situation? Probably going to try to get a little more. Let's try 90. What do you think, Don? 97? Can we get 97? I don't even know where I'm going yet. Yeah, I understand.
Hold out for more.
I can hold out for a little bit more. We got time.
Well, if they've got a contingency, or if they've got an offer on another house with a contingency to sell this house, I would recommend that they start out low to begin with, to try and sell it faster.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Hadn't even thought of that. Thank you, Lisa. We discounted 5,000 before we ever started.
Yes.
Okay. So you understand, you're getting the point again. This is a review, but it's the dynamic. You positioned yourself to be weak. Vicky's words, weak on the buying and selling side of this. And because you're weak, you're leaving money on the table. And I'm going to just say we left another 5,000. I hadn't thought about Lisa. They dropped it 5,000 just to get a quick sale. Then they came along and asked for closing costs too, and maybe they got that price even. But it's probable. So if it cost them 5,000 on each one, $10,000. It took them 3 years at 3% appreciation to get that $10,000 in appreciation. So what they're doing is taking the last 3 years worth of appreciation and just frittering it away. I don't mind if they do. It's not my money. But I think I'd like to help them understand that's what you are doing. Let's hook this horse up in front of the car. The point being, you're interested in the house? I better get out here and get yours listed. That's where the focus comes to. That's interesting, but not the urgency. The urgency is get yours on the market so that we can get some feedback, if nothing else, and say, hey, we got showing. We've had a couple of offers. We got some market traffic. The market's responding, and I can at least say that. Versus, they got a house sale. I don't have any idea how much it is. I don't know what they're going to want for it. I don't know what they owe on it. I don't CMA, but I know they got a house sale. Do you like my offer now, Mr. Seller? No, you guys all say no. I don't like it as much. And also, then when that seller took the house with the contingency, he's minimized his prospects because all the people that have houses sell now are not prospects anymore. It's just the ones that haven't sold or don't need to sell them that now are his prospects. And as all the rest of the people out in the marketplace. That's why he needs to get his asking price. I'll take that gamble. I'll trade you my asking price because it's fair to work with you on your contingency. And if somebody else comes along and doesn't have a house to sell or whatever, I very well might take less money because I don't have to take that gamble. But if it's a guy that's got a house to sell, I am going to probably try to stick close to my fair price in order to work with it. So there's the thing. But the point is, $10,000 is what you're possibly very likely leaving on the table in that scenario. And it's okay with me if you want to. But I just like for you to understand that's the likelihood, just because of the emotional attachments and the vulnerability that we have in the decision moments. If I can create a lot of guts when that $95,000 comes in to counter back for 98, you'll probably get 98 because you got the guts to get it. But if you don't, if you got this hooked up backwards, you don't have the guts. So God, I better get what I can and get moving here. Better take it. And so that's another big long view of that thing. But I'm done now. I'm not going to talk about that picture anymore. That's 2 weeks. They just had to listen to it.
Well, it always just brings up different things in my mind, so it's
Well,
okay.
Can I tell you what happened with me?
Yes.
That I do recall having this conversation, and the only reason why I know so much is that this happened in my neighborhood. So I had the listing, wasn't on very long, probably less than 2 weeks. Got an offer, contingent offer, and I knew the house that this girl needed to sell was in a neighborhood that I had listing that I could never sell the house. Realtor before me could never sell the house. So I had that in my mind too, that, try to keep countering to get a little bit higher. Long story short, she ended up selling her house.
In the neighborhood that nobody would buy.
The offer she gave us would have been the best offer. We would have closed sooner, yet we could never get another offer, kept lowering and lowering. And she ended up picking another house that came available in the neighborhood. We did end up selling it, but
There's
it
always
was
those
much
stories too.
longer and we got less money.
So
And every
the,
time I was just imagining her driving by,
well, there is. There's always, the reverse stories, but the probabilities.
yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for. And that's why I just love you to just stay in tune with that number. It's not 97, it's a little better than 97, but it's, somewhere between 97 and 98%. That's what I usually quote. But that's the margin. So when they ask us, what do you think we should offer? Well, the typical person's getting it bought, if they don't need closing cost help, for around 97 to 98% of the asking price. So you probably ought to be in that range somewhere. You don't have to start there, but I would like you to, not be surprised that you're going to need to pay that to get the thing. Because 2,213 times in March, that's what happened. It's not much of a sample, but that's the best one I got. What sample have you got? In terms of, make your case. That's all I got for what's probably going to happen, because if it's probable then, it's probable now.
I let them know that, maybe it's like so wrong by doing this, but, I let them, probably I'm wrong with all, but it works, whatever, so, no.
That's all I care about. That's the worst.
But if it's a Keller Williams agent, I tell them, I said, if it's a Keller Williams listing, I'm like, they definitely expect to be within a minimum of 3% of their list price. I said, at Keller Williams, we list them to sell. We don't list them to list them. I said, and no disrespect to other agencies, I said, but there's a lot of times that people list them just to get the listing, and they may be overpriced and have a little more work, a little more room to work. I said, this one's Keller Williams' house, so we probably better be pretty close to be realistic. So
Because,
Especially if she's recruiting somebody.
well, it's.
no,
there's
I mean,
facts there.
I tell every one of them that.
How many people in town today know that number? I propose to you 150 people in Keller Williams Green Meadow don't know it.
I agree.
But I know who does. Yelled it out. Didn't pull up the thing. Because we know it. And that's why. So a couple of things. We're trained to price it, where to sell. And we're trained to know what the marketplace is doing. Everybody has access to that same information. It's just it's like having a tool in your toolbox. You don't know when Jordan take it out. The same as the guy that didn't have one. And that's the difference. Now, this room's got a few chairs left in here. I'd like to feel a few more folks know that number. You guys know, like, just like that.
Yes, I
But
would
that-
like some others in the office. Because in the office, I was like, what?
Where'd that come from?
Sometimes you have to write them for your client.
Left out a number.
Yeah. What kind of digit missing? On the chart?
All right, well, let's, now I'm interested in, what do you got going on? I mean, Mary, I didn't get the chance last time to ask about how the low appraisal thing went.
$7,500 left.
Came in 7,500 low.
The little couple just said, okay, we'll take it.
Yep, and moved right on.
So they got the full, we offered the full asking and no warranty and no closing, so. And the kids got it for $7,500 less, so everybody was happy and closed yesterday.
Yeah, it closed yesterday. Well, I'm glad I asked.
Good deal.
Because there's two. I had Marilyn in that chair, Joanne, just a week or two ago. 5,000 low appraisal on that one, panicking. Oh, she had stress all over her face. I said, if these people really want to sell it, really want to buy, it'll solve itself. Just let it solve. Now give them time to get used to this $5,000 or $7,500 figure. Don't press them for a decision immediately.
Today.
Let them, it's on.
Spending a lot of money in it. You got 3 hours.
Yeah. Let us move on.
But it is in the moment.
And that's what they get in the moment. It's big.
But thank you, because I'll use that. I'll use your story, Marilyn, and just say, guys, I got 2 examples in the last 30 days where this has happened, and we just let them sleep on it, get up in the morning, make a good decision, and both of them decided to just take what was on the table because that's probably all we're going to get anyway. The probability is high that you're just going to waste time getting it if you don't take it now. You can just get it later.
Nobody wants to start all over.
No, and that's right.
No.
And they were actually, your words, happy. Sellers were happy. Let's just do it. And that's what I generally will say to folks. Our marketing is powerful. It is not unusual that we oversell something because of the amount of exposure we can create. But we still got to deal with the appraisal realities of what the marketplace will stand. But I'm not going to apologize for a marketing machine that will sell something for $7,500 or $5,000 more than it's worth. You'd rather me have that than not. And that's what the problem is. So you can call it a problem, you can call it an opportunity, but at the end of the day, that's what the problem is.
So when you close out a property on MLS, are you putting in, what am I gonna say, like closing costs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You are. Concessions. is what I'm trying to say.
We are, because I personally would like to know the truth of the matter. What was that? Was it, if it's 97% sales price, but did that include more and that kind of stuff? But I do know that lots of people are not putting that in there. And the philosophy is that, well, if I put that in there, it devalues all the other properties that aren't paying closing costs and what have you. And I can understand that argument, but I just like to know what the facts are. What's the truth of the matter? I'll deal with the truth and stand on that, rather than have to speculate. At the end of the day, though, I'm going to speculate.
It's still
I have no choice.
speculation.
You're still speculating a little bit every single day because there is no exact price for any piece of property. It's just a matter of timing and supply and demand and who the buyer is when they come along, who the appraiser is. There's a whole lot of subjectivity built into all this.
Do you
And so-
think maybe that's why some appraisals are coming in low, is because people are not explaining that there are closing costs involved, like, because the price is over what they asked, but there's a reason. Why are we getting all these appraisals that are low?
Oh, I mean, just two. We closed about 200 last month.
We
and
have
so-
2 right here. There's others.
I
What,
had,
about
I had one
three?
too, and the deal fell apart. It was land, it was vacant land, and it was, of course, the most expensive piece in the entire development. But, I mean, I will not, that appraiser will never be my friend, I'm sure after that one. Because what I did as politely as I could address it about 4 times, because he had a negative line item for $10,000 for water. And I'm like, it's on city water. We discussed this, we discussed it verbally, I sent it to you. They're not putting in a $10,000 well. It's on city water. I'm not gonna change it. It's a line item you subtracted
Right.
$10,000 for. You have to make that correction. No, ma'am, I don't. I've already turned it in, and I stand by my evaluation.
Yeah, so there's a guy, you know, you put.
We're
him in
best
there.
friends now.
That appraiser.
You need that.
Appraiser.
But I was
Yeah.
calling him out in front of the bank. I mean, I was, you know, including them and everything because they need to know. Because they have, I mean, that's where a lot
That's
of,
also client.
that's where a lot of people, well, the client was mad. The client asked
Right.
for it to be reappraised and corrected, and they wouldn't. So the client was mad, and they're like, fine, we'll buy something somewhere else. In reality, my seller would have gone ahead and lowered it, but he sure didn't want to because that devalues all of the
Right.
and everything, but we called him out, he asked me to, my seller asked me to, just to make sure, and I'm like, no problem, do whatever you know, you need to,
It's another
because
lender at that
that's
point.
much crap.
Let me ask
But
you.
that- that's what happened.
For appraiser.
The adjustments, and that's what we do need to do when they come in low. What did they adjust for? Remember that, telling you that story about my house, my personal house, it was 30-some thousand low with that. I looked at the adjustments. One of the comparables used had to be adjusted $100,000 to be comparable. It's not a comparable house. They had a pool, you know, it was a similar size house, but there was nothing else similar to it. And so, I mean, the next appraiser comes along, and that's what we do, just say, okay, go back to Noble, next, and you bring the next guy out, and he just appraises exactly what we thought it was worth. And actually, even Zillow got it right, so if Zillow can get it right, we can.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So, what's your thoughts on, so if the house is, in my opinion, I priced it right where it needed to be, like right at the top.
okay.
Buyer comes in, they need all their closing costs, so we say we'll split it with you. Well, they don't have that extra 3,500, so they rolled it in, we now have an overage 3,500 more. I'm worried it's not going to appraise, and I know, and I forewarned that realtor that I'm worried about it, just so you know, to mainly prepare a buyer, because he's gonna have to come up with it. But I don't know, do they do it, I guess my question is, do appraisers
They see that.
know, so they do know that,
They don't know you rolled it in, but they
So
do
they
know the
don't know
They
terms.
don't know that you're on the.
they don't know the offer?
They know the offer. I don't think you get a copy of the MLS.
Well, and I didn't think so either until he said he had an MLS key, so I thought, so does that mean he has access to the MLS?
I don't know, I mean, you can get a super key without being a member of the
You can't,
MLS.
okay,
You
okay.
can't, but it's possible they could be members of the
Don't
MLS
they
too.
know how they do all their comps?
Well, many of them have access to the MLS. So at the end of the day, the terms, you know, dictate what the value proposition is to some degree, but, you know, we can fight it or just roll with it. What you were saying is I'm worried, and I was just saying if that helps, kick it up a notch or two, because ultimately, that, you know, that's not helping anything.
Right.
Just let's see what happens and then, but make sure people are prepared. We've rolled it in, I don't know if it's gonna reach or not. Are you guys, Mr. Seller, in to take the gamble to see if it will? Because they, at least the appraiser does know, this is the figure we're shooting for. He's gonna try to find a way to defend that most of the time. If you got an inflation fighter bill, he might not. But most of them are, they don't, you know, they're
These
not.
are the
in-
ones that I usually worry about a little bit, kind of back on my public works. Those don't usually come in. It's the ones that don't have any.
Yeah, that's true.
It really is true.
But I just think that ultimately, let's see what happens. And then it's, you know, what are our options if that's 3,500 low?
I was gonna say, and 3,500, it's not like 6,000 that sometimes.
3,500 is 30 cents a day for somebody.
Well, and this guy even sent me, I'm trying to find his name, but he even sent me a survey to fill out. Ron Flowers is his
Yeah,
name.
Ron.
He sent me a survey and he sure was talking about it.
Yeah, Ron has done this a long time. I've heard a few people say that they had some little presence with him, but I haven't had.
He
He's
was
not
a realtor before, he let me know that a few
Yeah.
times.
And I mean, so he's, as a guy would should
I
have
think
given
it's a little more
sense to be fair.
sympathetic.
What are credentials to be an appraiser, because I'm curious if it's like a 30-second online course or if there's an actual.
Now it's a pretty good size
You have to,
course.
yeah, you have to,
Yeah.
you have to sit under somebody for a long time.
Yeah, you have to be
It's pretty,
I don't
that
know.
was the first license that I ever got,
understood.
but I got it at a really bad time and I never could find anybody to mentor me. So you have to go to school, but I'm good at passing
There's
tests.
one
so I
gal I
know
had that
how
had
to
no
do it.
idea what she was doing, and I just said, I'll be glad to bring the comps with me. I brought them all with, and I don't know, so she's been doing it 5 years, I guess.
It's gonna be from-
And I was just like,
That's the thing.
I mean, you should, right?
Pardon?
They could be sued. Like,
Well, I mean,
they have that
No.
They
high
can,
standard.
they can have their
of
credentials
their
pulled as far as being an appraiser. So I mean,
Exactly.
if they have
Yeah.
too many that go into default, and then they find that the value wasn't there, they then can have a reputation and at some point a lender to say, we can't use you anymore. So there is a consequence of them missing it too much, and they'll tend to lean on the lower side than the higher side because of that. But at the end of the day, if the value's there, there's no reason for them not to give you what you need or more. But they do, at least they know what they're shooting for.
most of them have been great. I mean, there's 2 of them that I call just for an opinion. I'm like, can you help me on how to price this house? Because there are no comps.
it's good to
It's
know you might be willing.
Newcastle, $600 and some odd $1,000 home, and it sits between 2 or 3 that are priced at $500,000, that on the inside look similar to a $200,000 home. They're just bigger and happen to be in this addition. And then 2 doors down is a $990,000 home. And 3 for sale and nothing sold there in a year and a half. So
You see the challenge.
how far do I go? They're like, let's
So I have to
try
come
to
back
one
to-
because there is no one.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
so
saying.
let's suppose that.
It works for me.
Yeah.
It's a
You're
lot
right.
nicer than that one, so I'll have $4 a square foot here.
You can imagine, you can hear the anguish that we go through trying to settle on that stuff, but just imagine what a for sale by owner does. If he's sitting out there in that same place saying, I think I'm gonna price mine.
And only 60
Oh, no,
outside.
no, that's not what they do.
What do they do? Oh, they call for.
They say,
how much
I
I
want $350,000
want.
for this $150,000 house.
Yes.
Zero.
It's gonna be worth that in a few years.
That's what I want.
I planted 2 trees in a bush.
Oh, I see.
And a brand new hot water.
Yeah.
tank 6 years
10 years ago.
Yeah, and your inflatable hot stuff.
This,
Everything is
this is an
bonus.
actual experience, this is not example, this is, I just had this last week. Yeah, that's right, the buy owners, but I mean, ultimately, we have the challenge. How hard is it for us to arrive at something to start with and then, and they don't know sitting, showing and selling. They don't have the data we have, and we struggle. So when they come back and do the one on your list, there's about, wherever, about 4, 5, 6 or 7 from the bottom. Let's see, we decided to sell our house and save the commission, or sell our house ourselves and save the commission. That one, we better be ready for it, because it's coming. And we just pull out the data. I don't know, did I give you this, Lisa? This, I know all the rest of them got it, but I keep it close to my heart, back over here. Where is it? Right about here.
I'm impressed.
I can't find anything in my own purse.
You pull these
It's very
paragraphs
private.
out and just refer to them to the for sale by owner. And so,
Is that the Sherry Lewis one?
no,
No? Okay.
no, thank you for remembering, Sherry.
I posted,
That's the
I
residential.
posted that one several times.
But right here, I mean, this makes that case that Mr. For sale by owner, in fact, I didn't have time to run over today, but I was going to look for my other article that was written by a university in California that said the typical for sale by owner house sells for 5% less than the house that's not for sale by owner. Well, this is way more than that difference. But the National Association of Realtors is saying that the typical for sale by owner house sells for $190,000 last year, and the realtor assisted sale is $250,000. Well, that's way more than 5 or 6%. And so, but this word, I mean, it's right there in length, but here's where I always go with it. I said, now, it could be that it's just a different kind of house. They're just selling cheaper houses, for God's sake. But then I go say, okay, let me look here. I act stupid like I don't know this, but I know it. It's right here. The median age for sale by owner seller is 55 years old. The median, they're a married couple and the median household income is $103,100. Okay, that's interesting. But for every seller, all of them, that was for sale by owners, 103,000, 55 years old. Home sellers, typical home seller was 55 years old with a median income of $103,300, so he makes $204 a year. Is that seller a different seller? He lives in the same neighborhood, makes the same money, has the same lifestyle generally. Is it make sense that he sells a different house? A smaller priced house? No, he's selling the same house, he's just not getting the same price for it. So that's the key is not the 190 to 250, it's the same age and income guy. And it's 20% less. Now, I'm not gonna say you guys are making, I'm gonna come out and if you list your house with me, you're gonna get 20% more than you would if you sell yourself. But I am convinced you are probably not gonna get a dime more. And you're gonna do all the work, take all the risk, and have buyers that won't buy your house because they're afraid to buy something that they don't know what they're doing and they need a realtor to help them. So there's that, but that's magic. The fact is 190, 250. Same seller, same guy at the same station of life, 55 years and 103,000 income. He is not selling a different house. He's selling the same kind of a house, it's just that he's not getting the same price for it. And there's all kinds of reasons for it. But that's where I go. Fifth or sixth one from the bottom, when they say, I think I want to sell it, I say, gosh, I got a little bit concerned about that. I do respect that. You've got the deed. You have every right to choose the marketing plan. And this marketing strategy I've studied a little bit. And here's what the most recent numbers I have on that strategy are. And the same demographic, selling the same house. One guy gets 190, one guy gets 250. Guess which one gets 250? Now, I'm not saying I can get that difference for you, but what I feel confident in saying is I'm gonna charge you 6%. I believe I'm gonna get you the same net as you can get on your own. Except you're gonna have the inconvenience of having to take off one to go show the thing and all the other stuff that goes with that I'll just take off your hands and it's the same net difference.
I think buyers sometimes think they're getting a better deal for sale by owner. And I have listed houses that people have bought for sale by owner and they paid way too much for it. Mm-hmm. So that can go both ways a little bit.
And you need those stories.
Yeah.
That happens very often. Mm-hmm. We had one the other day. What was that? Cammy sitting over here. Bought a house 5 years ago, directly from the owner. It is worth exactly what they paid for it today. And that's what I told them. I said, I don't know what the story was. Maybe they had a lot of upgrades or something, but at the end of the day, the comps will not support more than that figure right now. Everybody else got 15%, let's see, 3 times 5 be, 15% appreciation generally. They got none. Well, only reason was they paid top market. You mentioned top value a while ago. What is that? It's full retail plus. But retail is a fair figure, but that's on our marketability checklist thing that we had. We were saying we need to list a property a little under retail, not at retail even. So that goes back to your comment. Maybe they priced it 5,000 low because we didn't get this sold. I want that one. That's under retail. It's not wholesale, but it's under retail, and that's what it takes. All right, what else? We've absorbed an hour here. We did some review on the picture. I'm not coming back to that picture again for at least a month. But these common concerns that come up, I think it's useful for us to have the conversations about. How do you deal with them? Nobody else is teaching this. They get a little bit of it in bold, some, but not very much of it. I never see this in bold. No, that's never in bold. I have a friend in real estate, why you shouldn't list with me does not come up in bold. But it's what we're hearing. Get out there in the marketplace and that stuff comes up. And just, at least have some idea. What's the strategy if they bring it up? And just be prepared for it. So it's a script, but really it's just having a philosophy or a strategy that you can make some sense with that helps them make a better decision. So there you go, Lisa. This is all.
I think I do have this, but
I bet you do, because you've been around me, been in this room 3 times, I probably did the first time I saw you. Because it's the answer to what's happening in real estate. Well, it took me to sell off at 5 years old. I don't know if you share that, but I mean, you know it.
Can
All
we
right.
find that on the NAR?
Oh, you need it? Hang on.
Please?
Yeah, I know you'd like to know where it is. Yes, you can go to the NAR. I think you can actually go to realtor.org. And they'll sell you the whole thing for about $20. There's a 140-page report that comes with that. But I just get the summary page and I watch for it every year. And every year somebody publishes it, either Inman or somebody else. And I just sit there and watch it and watch it and watch it. As soon as they publish, here's what the newest NAR, home buyer, home seller things, and they'll comment on one piece of it. Well, then I know it exists, and then I go hunting for it. And this is the summary of the 120-page report. That's all we really need.
Yeah.
And the only part of that I really need is the for sale by owner piece of it. There's probably other stuff in there I can use, but that's where I go. It's part of my, how do I deal with that? I want to sell my house myself question. And, or I am selling my house myself. And what's the probability of them having success?
Just scare them to death and let them know about it.
Yeah, we give them the Sherry Lewis page where it says, here are the safety concerns, and let that thing do its job. All right. I appreciate you guys. We spent $1,000 worth of our time here in the room today. We can't afford much more, so you can't sit around much longer. But ultimately, $100 an hour times 10. Pardon me?
I think I get $2.75.
You're only getting paid that when you would eye with the customer that's not yourself.
Did I
But
not
that is what
sign
you
up
should
for
be.
direct deposit or something, because some of them, hey, have you talked to Ashley?
Direct deposit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. John, I appreciate you coming. In fact, I do need to get somebody to join assistance so I can just
He's not paying. That's not exciting. Oh,
He used to
okay.
have some, but then.
every now and then somebody schedule
Okay.
something.
They're like, "Oh, so,
Like, we're ready.
so they took, he was out of town of Albany, right? And
Yes.
they were having,
It's my
he was going
cousin's cousin,
to get out and
Lee's cousin.
there was.
And so she's probably,
Oh, yeah, electrocuted him. He fell, he was trying to yell, maybe nothing would come out.
Brilliant.
Nothing out apparently.
graduated school at K through 12, had 14 years.
Face first.
So,
And so, broke her neck.
sounds like she probably couldn't put a sentence together because of her accent.
Right now.
Much more intelligent than you would think.
They had cancer, but it's so hard that night.
It's funny, but
I
anyway.
watched it later, and then it's took off the ventilator. So
This is
then-
gonna be, it'll be funny, they'll,
Yeah.
you'll, yeah, I know, she sticks, she's.
You got 3 horses over here. She's not even horses.
No, but you could definitely bury some bodies out in the trees that no one would ever find except the guys making moonshine.
I see. What's that far?
That far.
And they're not going to record it.
No, man, you will get shot. Family onto the property around there. Yeah.
I remained
House
before
in a, she lives somewhere around like it is, so.
happened.
So.
They've done
anyway,
surgery.
send her away on these.
Still
Yeah.
dealing with that.
But we need somebody who speaks her language.
His organs are okay.
Speak to the folks who speak her
Sorry.
language. Yeah. Maybe she can relate to
Yeah.
something.
Subcontract.
Good. I'll be
She's
back.
adorable, but she's funny to listen to.
What's her name? Is it a name I can pronounce?
Michelle.
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 My husband.
Beautiful.
Well, never mind, she's married, I can't see these resources.
That's Michelle. Okay, I can get Michelle.
How are you doing? You read the door. If it's already priced, it goes in here. It just sort things out. You write a
Switch, I think they're in
certain
their,
sections.
they're in their upper twenties.
I just noticed small towns.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Yeah.
But she's not.
I wish you some bad news. I used to call
Oh, she's
it,
gonna say.
Yeah.
you know, about the pictures,
Yeah.
over at.
That's very kind of a reminder.
I met with yesterday,
That's why I
and
was.
she's going to go over and start looking at houses.
Really?
And my conversation was having with you, and so by those type of ideas, I was ready to market, so you're prepared.
Update for you, your timeline.
And you just reiterated,
That's exactly it.
and then I forgot,
So,
so,
as of right now.
yeah, the negotiation.
Most of it is.
Including most candidates, you need everything.
Yeah.
You can buy, this next one, so.
That's it, so I mean, that's, to
As of
just,
yesterday, when.
to just know
my
beforehand,
sons got
that is the
back,
best way to go,
we're moving
whether they want to go that way or not, just know it. And that's something,
With her help, I'm sure.
that actually is the most way to do it.
That's the only other
If you
issue,
see everything you can get.
because technically he is still employed.
Yes.
So as long
Right.
as.
Hey.
There's double trouble coming in
Title
one area.
provider, so as long as the process.
With the good of all the.
You guys take care. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Later. Like shirt.
You know, what was it? I know, I got one similar, but I've never put in.
Now,
The boss.
It's a small one, you can hear a little bit about your
It's
trip.
supposed to talk to her a little bit.
I'd like to hear,
It was
but when I'm
a
here to do
so
it.
they all know.
What's up?
I owe you. Sure. I said, I told her.
Here.
Don't, he's so my foot.
Here.
He did.
So,
He did my phone.
It's like, seriously,
Wait,
it's-
I'm right back.
look at me, it's this one I have about.
He's good.
It's I just got one picture and pop it out. And that's why I laid on my desk. I'm a messenger. And oh my God, she has a whole.
You can do that, but we talked about it yesterday.
Gee, what's around?
I get 5 emails on my phone. Like 30.
You know, I think I'm sure I did that.
Right? So,
Yeah, she told me that.
That whole.
I mean, I don't spend that
That whole
much time
HR
into
department
it.
deal, that's not.
Really?
As well as you're doing?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
She's like,
It is.
We're finished. Winding her down. Thanks for joining us.